誓言守護者 Oath Keepers 係一個美國嘅非營利組織，佢哋主張美國人民同埋政府回歸並忠於美國最原始嘅憲法，而非忠於或服從大多數人民嘅決定。亦主張美國唔係一個民主共和政體，而係一個憲政共和政體。誓言守護者雖然唔係一個宗教團體，但係佢嘅組織成員多數為基督徒，主張成員回歸聖經信仰。佢哋主張所有美國軍人、警察同埋其他所有執法同埋紀律部隊，都唔係向任何個人或者群體效忠，而係向美國嘅憲法效忠。佢哋嘅成員即係現任同埋前任美國軍方同埋執法部門，主張唔服從嗰啲任何違反咗美國憲法嘅上級命令。誓言守護者係由佢嘅領導人 Stuart Rose 喺2009年3月喺美國內華達州拉斯維加斯所創立。Stuart Rose 係畢業於美國耶魯大學法學院，曾任美國陸軍傘兵同眾議員保羅羅恩 Ron Paul 嘅前僱員。誓言守護者呢個群體已經擴大至全美好多州份。
Hey, it's Bill Whittle here again at CPAC 2010, and I'm here with a very interesting gentleman who's the subject of a bit of a controversy lately. I'm here with Stuart Rhodes. Stuart is a spokesman for Oath Keepers, and Oath Keepers is a group of people, organization of people who have sworn an oath to the Constitution of the United States, either as a former military man or as a firefighter, police officer, that kind of thing.
Current serving military, police, firefighters, or veterans of those services. That's correct.
So you are dealing with a group of people that some people have called the sheepdogs. You're the people that take care of and protect the body of people that make up the American citizenry.
The guardians of the people in the Republic.
Okay, so people who are given that kind of authority swear an oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States.
That's correct.
And you have formed this organization, and you have a list of oaths, a list of orders that you will not obey.
That's right.
Some of them are, we will not obey orders to impose martial law, we will not obey orders to detain American citizens as unlawful enemy combatants, all of these anti-tyrannical type of things.
This top one.
We will not obey orders to disarm the American people.
Right.
Now, some people are trying to portray this as a radical, dangerous, right-wing nut job kind of thing. But I look at these orders and I think back to the founders and those of us who study the founding of the Constitution of the United States and our foundational principles. I get the feeling the founders would look at this list and they would just simply go, well, duh.
Right, exactly.
Duh. Of course not.
Yeah, and they had their own list of shall nots also. It was called the Bill of Rights.
Right.
Which was a reflection of their history of abuse of government, and they intended to make sure it didn't happen again. All we're really doing is saying, yes, we're reaffirming principles in the Bill of Rights, and that these are the lines that should not be crossed, and these are what governments have done throughout history. And we've added on some examples from the 20th century, such as the internment of the Japanese Americans, which happened right here, and gun confiscation during Katrina, which happened very recently. So I don't know why that's so conspiratorial.
We will not obey any order to blockade American cities, thus turning them into giant concentration camps. Now, people on the left are trying to portray this as sort of a call to militia action in the beginning of a revolution and so on. But there's nothing proactive in this list. This is a list of things that you will not do. This is not a list of things that you're going to go and do.
It's very Gandhi-like. So we're just not going to do civil disobedience. And actually, it's also the obligation that every police officer and military personnel should already know. It's established law in military law that they must disobey an unlawful order. Remember back during the Nuremberg trials, right?
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Following orders is not an excuse.
Right, precisely.
That's right.
It didn't work for Lieutenant Calley either.
It did not. And the great pride of the American military is that each individual soldier from the top commanding major general down to the lowest buck private is not obligated to follow an order that is an illegal order or is that an order.
Right.
Okay.
And in fact, he's obligated to disobey it. He could be tried and convicted if he follows an order that's unlawful.
So now let's get down to the brass tacks, Stuart. It seems to me that these are fairly obvious things, and you would think that most soldiers would say, well, of course I'm not going to confiscate guns from the American people. Of course I'm not going to put American people in detention camps. What is it about the current political climate that got you guys to the point where you feel you have to form an organization and make it clear? Because this obviously is, this list of orders is not for your internal use. This is to say to the government, don't get any funny ideas, because we're just not going to do this. Is that a fair statement?
It's also an education tool. I can't take for granted that police and military understand the Constitution and understand the importance of their oath. They might not know, quite a few of them don't, that the oath is actually required in the Constitution itself in Article 6. It's a mandate from the founders that the oath and the allegiance is to the people and to their Constitution, not to a person or to an office like the King of England, as it was traditionally. Right. The founders broke that tradition of being vowed to obey a person, and instead they said, hey, the supreme law of the land here is not the king, not a person, not the president, it's the Constitution itself. And now why did we do this? Well, we looked at the very recent history of Katrina. There you had house-to-house disarmament of average American citizens who were not looters. They were just simply people trying to maintain their own safety in their own homes or while evacuating. And they were disarmed. And you also had confinement in the Superdome. People were put in there, as was seen on Fox News, Shepard Smith talking about it on Fox News. They were not allowed to cross out, not allowed to cross the bridge he was standing on. There was a blockade put in place. They were kept inside. And so you had two examples right there in recent history.
So it probably bears illuminating that while many people on the progressive left want to paint you as a bunch of right-wing screaming nutcases, this isn't a response to something that happened under the administration of George W. Bush. This is not about an anti-Obama movement. It's not an anti-Democratic Party movement. It is we understand what the limits on the federal power should be, and sometimes the federal government apparently doesn't, and therefore we have this list of orders that we're not going to obey if they should be issued to us.